You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 9. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action today. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and I'm excited to share my stories and life lessons with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hi, all, and welcome back to another episode. I want to start off today by thanking all of you for subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast. When I see those reviews come in, my heart is so filled up, and I am so grateful to know that you're listening, and hopefully my experiences are giving you just a bit of inspiration. I wanted to share this review I got from OC Lawyer Mom. She says, "It's rare to find a podcast that hits on all aspects of life, career, motherhood, relationships. Michelle offers wisdom on all fronts. Her background has allowed her to experience so many things, and she shares her knowledge in a friendly, casual, but very helpful way. This is one you definitely want to hit subscribe on." Wow, thank you so much, OC Lawyer Mom. Your words help to let me know that I'm doing the right thing in putting all of this out there on a podcast. When you create a podcast and you share your past and your insights, you're really putting yourself out there for the world to hear. And I had no idea what this podcast was going to do for others or even myself. I'll be honest with you, I have a list of episode ideas, and yet suddenly something will come to my mind as something I feel it's important to talk about, and I literally can't stop typing up the outline for it. Last week's episode on self-reflection is a perfect example of that. I had my list of topics to record on, but something inside of me said I needed to create that particular episode. Once I made up my mind, the thoughts just kept flowing, and I literally had to pause life to record. And by pausing life, I mean I told my husband and my kids that I'd be in the bedroom closet and no one was to enter the bedroom until I came out. Podcasting life is glamorous. Let me tell you about it. Which is going to bring me to something that's been on my mind lately because it's something I've started practicing and I'm getting better and better at it. It's also something I think a lot of us struggle with. I'm talking about boundaries, creating non-negotiables in your life to protect yourself. It's truly key, and honestly, I think it's a form of self-care. We should be creating boundaries both in our personal and professional lives. Now, first, let me be clear on what I mean by boundaries. I'm not talking about making friends at work or sharing who you are with someone else. I'm talking about taking on more of anything simply because someone else creates an expectation for you to do it. I'm talking about accepting the actions of someone else when it makes you feel uncomfortable or goes against respecting you as a person. There comes a point in life where you more than have a right to say, "Nope, I'm not going to accept it. That's something I am not okay with." I'm going to call myself an expert on boundaries right now because I have been putting them into place more and more recently. I can actually pinpoint the exact moment I started to implement boundaries to protect myself. It was when my son was born. I suddenly realized that I didn't need to accept the actions of others simply because of who they were, the title they held, or because there was an expectation that I simply would. When it comes to my professional life, now that I'm a business owner, it's a whole new world. But I love it so much more than the corporate world. You truly get to decide who you want to work with and what your services are. You have a say as to when someone oversteps the scope of your contract, and although you could be risking losing their business, you also have the ability to say no, to find a new client, and to create boundaries that allow you to live the life that you want. I'll give you a real life example of mine. In all of my corporate life, I was always, quote unquote, on. on my emails, on my phone, and that's definitely carried over to my business today. But I'm working on creating boundaries. I don't want to work on weekends, and if I can help it, I'm going to try not to work on Fridays at some point. As a business owner and someone who's getting up at 5 a.m. to work, I believe I have every right to set that boundary and expectation in place. Now, I'm not saying that I won't get something done on the weekend or that I won't actually work on a weekend, but that expectation is not something my clients are to have. Personally, I think it's something really reasonable. I get work done during the week just as many of my clients do, so that we can all enjoy weekends with our families, traveling, and simply enjoying life. Another boundary I'm working on is emails. I am always checking my emails, and trust me when I say there are no fires that I am putting out these days. It's unnecessary for me to have email notifications on. Boy, oh boy, have I struggled with this one. I come from the corporate world of having a BlackBerry vibrating on your belt for every email. I am dating myself, I know. I had emails coming in 24 hours a day when it came to fuel around the world. But now, no one needs a podcast listened to at 2 a.m. or to be pitched to a podcast within the next 5 minutes. I didn't truly comprehend this until I started reading Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. We're going to dive more into this book in the coming weeks, but within the first couple of chapters, Marie tells you to turn off your email notifications. I read that and I thought, yes, I love this. I'm so doing this, but I couldn't do it. I truly could not turn off my notifications for like a week. And then I did, and I ran straight to my husband to let him know that when he emailed me on his next business trip, I might not reply within 5 minutes like I normally do, but don't think anything's wrong because I just simply turned off my notifications. And he was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Really probably wouldn't worry if he didn't respond within 5 minutes. But this was an expectation that I put on myself, and this expectation was ridiculous. When it comes to working weekends, I do when I want to, but I don't want anyone to dictate that I have to. I had one client in particular who knew no weekend work. I made this very clear from the get-go. But her podcast was always last minute and wouldn't be ready until Sunday night, with it going live on Monday mornings at 5 a.m. I let it slide a couple of times, and then it suddenly became the norm and expectation. I was always going to be available and ensure it would go live, even if it meant working on a Sunday, no matter where I was. It became more and more, and then the emails with instructions to the editor was that as long as he could get it done by Sunday, then that would give Michelle plenty of time to get it live. No, no, no. By working on the weekends, I'm taking time away from myself and my family. I'm a business owner just as my clients are, and part of being a business owner is having the ability to dictate your schedule. I had to once more set the permanent boundary that I am not working on weekends, especially due to others not being able to meet your own deadlines. Let's all remember the quote, "Your lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine." Let this be my reminder to you that when it comes to your professional life, it's more than okay to set a boundary and say, no, that just doesn't work for me. Prioritize yourself. Now, when it comes to setting boundaries in my personal life, I have to say I have struggled with this, especially when it comes to family, not friends. I'm going to take a stab in the dark at this, but I would say it's because you get to choose who your friends are, but you're born into your family. Therefore, if you had a friend who mistreated you, you're more than likely to walk away from it, but not a family member. It's taken me over 3 decades to be okay with standing up for myself when it comes to those I'm related to. When it comes to creating boundaries with family members, I think the bottom line is that you have to stick to your beliefs, respect decisions that others make, but in doing so, it doesn't mean you condone the behavior. It's basically saying, hey, you have every right to make the decision you did, but now I have every right to not attend an event, or we simply can't have the relationship or closeness that we might have had in the past. Oftentimes, I think people think that they make a decision based on how easy it is for them, instead of considering the feelings of others, because it could mean some sort of discomfort for them. This is when creating a boundary for yourself is absolutely necessary. As Brené Brown so eloquently put it, you can have comfort or you can have courage, but you can't have both. It takes courage to make such decisions in life, and it most certainly isn't comfortable. But trust me when I say that the feeling you will have towards yourself for standing up for yourself is immeasurable. It's a feeling of growth and pride because you are saying you deserve better and you're right. I think creating boundaries such as these are also one of the most extreme forms of self-care that you can practice. You're no longer allowing anyone to take advantage of you or to put you in a situation that you aren't comfortable in or don't believe in. This is huge. You are saying, I am making myself a priority, and that's all that there is to it. It's self-care and self-respect, and you do not need to apologize for it. You have every right to create a safe space for yourself, and that involves creating boundaries. I don't want you to think of boundaries as a negative thing, because even though it sounds negative, it certainly is not. It's a positive thing. It's positive because you are protecting yourself and doing what's best for yourself, and you're also laying the groundwork for your expectations when it comes to others and the way you're to be treated. If you tell someone that you won't tolerate a certain action, then you've done your part. You've said, don't be surprised when this situation arises again, and I'm not okay with it. If the other person doesn't feel it's necessary to change, then so be it, but they can't be surprised by your reaction. In the same manner, others can have boundaries when it comes to you, and that is perfectly okay. All you have to do is respect them, and in the same manner, if your behavior doesn't change, then don't be surprised when someone doesn't tolerate it. At the end of the day, it's all about respect for yourself and respect for others. Boundaries are a form of respect, and you owe it to yourself to create them when they're necessary. Treat boundaries as a form of self-love and self-care that you deserve, and remember that if someone can't respect those boundaries you've set for yourself, then they don't deserve to be in your life. That may be a sad realization, but you need to make yourself a priority in this life because you don't have another one. Be courageous and do what's best for you. It's constant work, and trust me, I know it's not easy because I'm right here next to you, friends. I'm working on myself and on creating boundaries and making myself a priority. So I want you to do the same. Head over to the gram or send me a DM or email and tell me what boundary you're working on this week. What's one way you're going to make yourself a priority? Next week, I've got an amazing guest coming on, and you're going to discover the true definition of how your past and your present don't define your future. You do. Thanks for being here, and until next time.